Hey, what's happening? Before we jump into the show, I wanted to see if you had any music on a hard drive. You have a band, you have a project, and you want to self-release your own music. Well, there's an easy way to do it. You can go to distrokid.com/VIP/hyphenate and go get your music up on all the streamers. You keep 100% of your royalties, and you can get 30% off by using this code. It's a great, easy way to get your music up on the streamers and share it with your fans, your friends, your family, your mom, your dog, everybody. Everyone wants to hear it. But go to distrokid.com/VIP/hyphenate, HYPHENATE, and send me the link. I want to hear it too. Send your mom the link. Send your dog the link. They all want to hear it too. We'd like to thank our sponsor, iZotope, the absolute leaders in intuitively designed plugins for audio restoration, mixing, and mastering. At iZotope.com, you'll find a plethora of tools and suites that will enhance your audio production, whether it's voice, video, podcast, or a full production recording session. Check out the industry-standard audio repair tool, RX11, or the multi-tool mixer plugin, Neutron 5, or the powerful Ozone 11 mastering suite, plus tons more. Go to iZotope.com and use the code FRET10 at checkout for 10% off. That's FRET10 to get 10% off at checkout. And again, the website is iZotope.com, IZOTOPE.com. What's happening, everybody? Welcome to another beautiful Hyphenate halftime. With me, as always, is my turkey lurkey host, Mr. Aaron Farley. How was your turkey day, Mr. Aaron Farley?
It was a very Thanksgiving-like atmosphere.
There's a lot of Thanksgiving.
Yeah, there was
Thanks were Thanksgiving.
Giving thanks. Thanks were given. And food was eaten.
Many Thanksgiving. And, the opposite of zero fucks given.
Many Thanksgiving for sure.
Awesome.
How about you?
Yeah, same. Yeah, I made a tofurkey. I always call it my football because I think it's just, I think I took it over to my aunt's house when I was in my 20s. She's like, "What is this football? What is this little thing you brought?" I'm like, "I don't know. It's tofu. It's a tofurkey." Yeah. And so now that's my tradition. I always make one of those every year and I've gotten pretty good. I do a little bit of a stuffing kind of on the side. It comes with stuffing in the middle of it. Have you ever had one of these tofurkey roasts?
I have not.
They don't.
I've seen them.
They don't taste like turkey. They taste like
tofu.
Yeah, not even tofu. No, it tastes like weird, smoky rubber meat kind of thing. But it's as a vegan.
You're really selling it.
Yeah, as a vegan of 25 years, something like that, 24 years, I've grown to enjoy it in all of its glory.
It's some tasty, smoky, rubbery meat.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because I think they've made more advances in the fake meat world and there's fancier roasts out there. But again, I'm a traditionalist. This is my holiday tradition. I buy the tofurkey roast and the gravy combo at Whole Foods and then make some vegan mashed potatoes and it's great.
Well, and probably if they changed it too much, even to make it better, there would be more people complaining that I just got used to this taste.
Yeah.
And I'm used to it. I'm ready for it. Don't change this. Yeah. Please don't change it.
One year they didn't have it. And I bought whatever the alternative was and it was fine. Yeah. But again, it's just, I come to expect it. And then I even eat the leftovers. Like my mom is vegan and so I give her a slice and I make her a vegan plate. I make a vegan plate. Nice. And then I even just enjoy the 3 or 4 days of leftovers with it all too. Nice. I got it down. We just finished them up today. It's great.
Love it.
Yeah. It's very traditional, vegan meal. We do all the same things that the other meat people do.
The real people, you mean?
Yeah.
We do all the same things that real people do.
Yeah. We have fun. It's some cranberries. I made the Pillsbury crescent rolls are like one of those like accidental vegan things, I think. Or there's a weird.
They just don't have any butter.
Yeah, they don't have any dairy. There's a weird crossover that I learned early on when I was broke and punk is that there's certain just cheap foods that are just accidentally vegan or made vegan because they're trying to save money on things like butter is expensive and milk things are maybe more expensive than like whatever the shit. And again, this is in no way is a health choice. I don't know if they're probably definitely not healthier options, but they just happen to be vegan. So there was always a fun thing at like, we would do these like vegan potlucks in our 20s and things. And people would bring stuff. And there's always somebody who'd go to the 99-cent store and get like the cheap, like Hydrox Oreo cookies.
I was going to say, yeah, I remember Oreos being vegan.
Yeah. The random things. You're like, whoa, and everybody's stoked. Yeah. I remember we found out about peanut chews. Have you ever had a peanut chew?
Like they're like almost like a gummy candy, but they look like a big foamy peanut.
No, not those. They're like little Snickers bars, but they're like mini. They're like a fun size Snickers bar, but like they come in a bar. There's like 6 of them or 8 of them, like in a wrapping thing. So you open it up and you can get like little individual like little Snickers. But those again, they're kind of a East Coast thing. I remember there was a Rite Aid in downtown that had them, and they're fucking great. So good, vegan. And they're vegan. It was one of those things again. It's just like, okay. It happens to be vegan and they're cheap. They were like, $1 or whatever. And so whenever I see those, it brings back those memories of like being broke and vegan. And it's like, cool. Here's all the fun stuff you can do.
I feel like most of my friends that I knew that toured while they were younger were at least vegetarian, if not vegan. Mm-hmm. And so everybody always had the
hack.
I mean, you guys also brought like the rice cooker. I love that.
Yes.
I love that one too. I feel like that's when you know you're really on tour.
Yes.
Like we're going to be out here for a while, so we should bring like a rice cooker and a blender meal. Or something.
Yeah. Something we can feed, 4 people with under $5 for all 4 people to eat tonight with rice and lentils. Yeah. Well, I mean,
does that say lentils on the rider?
Yeah.
Does that say
a bag
they
of
need a
bag lentils?
Bag of lentils.
And back then I was like, that's only 60 cents. I guess we could give it to them and make our own thing. Yeah. I have to say though, I think the statute of limitations is probably up, but those early tours, we would go in and just shoplift from grocery stores on tour. Also had like a big bike messenger bag and then just grab like bread and things to just to live. Yeah. It was fun. I'm not
a couple bucks here and there.
They're
going to throw it out anyway.
Yeah. Most of the money, that's the other side of things. So you don't realize, or I think we came upon the realization a few years into touring, is that the majority of any money that is made just goes to the oil companies because you're just buying gas.
Oh, right.
So whatever the DIY punks, however punk we were, we still were just paying Chevron or Texaco, whatever, all the money
tire companies.
Sure.
Tire companies, brake companies. Like everything else.
Yeah. Any money we make, it's gas money. They always say, like, let's pass the hat for gas money. So it's literally like, hey, everybody pass the hat so we can, donate to this band who's going to give it all to Big Oil to get them to the next town so they can play loud music for 15 minutes in a basement that's filled with shit water. So then they can give they can make $20.
Sponsored by, actually not even sponsored by.
This band brought
to you by Exxon Mobil.
Yeah. Literally, that's how we were brought to the gig. But
although you guys paid for but you had to pay for the advertisements.
Yes.
We pay Exxon Mobil so we can be here.
But then I remember that was also around the time, this is how long ago it was. It was around the time of the reclaimed cooking oil craze. What was it called? Recycled oil?
Yes.
Or diesel.
The veggie diesel?
Yeah, veggie diesel or something. Yeah. What do they call that? There was a name for that.
Veggie diesel, I think.
It was? Yeah. And people found out, you could retrofit old Mercedes-Benz diesel truck or cars and run them on recycled oil from like Chinese restaurants, for like old fry oil. Yeah. You could like do something with it. We never got into that, but we did have a friend up in the Bay Area who got an older ambulance that I think had been used to help transport people during 9/11, and all the filters had gotten clogged with like all the debris and dust and all the stuff that was in the air during 9/11. And I think somehow he bought it at auction or it was sold very cheap, and he bought this old ambulance and then converted it to veggie diesel. Yeah. Converted it to veggie diesel. And so he was going to tour on that. And we were like, whoa, that's the real punk. That's sticking to the man. I don't know how many tours he did in this, or it was the idea. It was the project he was working on. I'm sure he.
Well, do you know the guys in Piebald?
Mm-hmm. I don't know. No, I don't know them personally, but I know the band.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we were really good friends with them, and they, Aaron the guitar player from that band was a mechanic, and he used to convert. He used to convert cars for people. Like he had kind of a side gig for a while for those years of like converting people's Mercedes and diesel trucks and everything else into these amazing veg oil machines. And so they converted a huge like 12 passenger van. It might have even been bigger, like the biggest van you could get that had diesel, and put like a 50-gallon tank, like a actual another tank as well, to where they could drive like halfway across the country, I think, on veggie oil. And so then they had found a couple restaurants locally that they could get it from. But then the weird thing was they came up against all these laws. That whole thing obviously came up against all these laws.
Is that what it was? I don't know the whole story. I'm sure there's a documentary out there about the birth and death of veggie diesel.
Probably. Yeah. Well, the two things that I remember, one was that it is like you're not, I mean, which I guess in other circumstances, or maybe even this circumstance, makes sense, that you can't resell used cooking oil because of the because they don't want somebody like environmental hazards waste. Or I mean any kind of oil has to be regulated to be sold to different places to make sure that things aren't just getting poured down the drains and whatever else, I'm sure that there were places that they got them from, because the people were like, well, we have to pay a company to come get this, like our vat of our 50-gallon drum of oil or whatever, they have to come and get it when it's used. And then those companies started going like, wait, where's your oil? Oh, we don't need you to get oil anymore.
Oh, right. Like, put the oil recyclers out of business. Yeah.
And I would assume that probably the oil recyclers got onto it pretty quick and went, yeah, no, this isn't happening. We have to pay all sorts of taxes and fees and whatever else we have to pay to recycle this oil, and we're not giving you guys any of this. But for years they did that. And then the other thing, they were like, oh, we'll go to a donut shop, like a place that makes donuts.
Better than like French fries. It smells like donuts.
Yeah. The donut place is like, what do you mean extra oil?
They never change it. They use that shit forever.
They don't. It goes into the donuts. There is no extra oil.
Oh, they don't. It just absorbs
like it
into
cooks.
the dough.
It cooks into the dough, and then when it goes down, they just pour more new in there. It's not like frying food where you fry the food and then you have to dump out the old oil. Yeah. That oil just goes right into those donuts,
that's so
man.
Funny.
There's no extra.
I mean, anybody who's ever looked at a pink donut box on the bottom, if they've been sitting in there for a while, that's a big oil sponge.
Yeah, but that was good. I forgot about that. Remember there was the veggie diesel conversion place that was at Sunset Junction.
Silver Lake. Yeah. I know what was it called, Veggie Love or Love, something that
something
there.
Something.
All right. Well, somebody should do an expose. I want to see a YouTube hour-long documentary about this.
I want our freeways to smell like French fries again. Yeah. That's going to be my red hat.
That should be
make our freeways
smell like
French fries again.
Yes. I'll back that campaign.
2004.
Oh
2004.
So last week's interview with Martin Atkins. How fun was that, right? What an incredible.
He could have gone on for like 5 hours.
I mean, he needs his own symposium. I think that's what he does. Oh yeah.
I love all of his stories start out with like, well, when I was on tour with, and then, or like, when Trent Reznor came and listened to us and then this happened, or ministry and this, whatever. It's just all of those moments where you see someone's ladder of like getting into different things. And then eventually you just become the guy that stitched all of those things together somehow just by being there.
What a life. Yeah. No, he was like a Zelig, definitely at the forefront of post-punk, and that would certainly then become industrial, which become, all these like kind of like the birth of so many different music genres. His drums played a pivotal role in all of that stuff.
Well, and I love I love those things when you realize how big of a deal it is and how much it completely changed the culture of music. Whatever. I mean, probably as everything got to Nine Inch Nails, and then Nine Inch Nails becomes like the biggest band in the world, then all of a sudden everyone goes, what's this industrial thing? But then you realize how small it was before that, like that all of the people were in all of the bands.
Yeah.
Well, then David, played with me for a little bit in Pigface, and then, whatever. It was going on the roving band of, and how that came out of punk and well, I always called it PIL.
Yeah.
He called it PIL.
PIL. I always called it PIL also. Public Image Limited was what it was kind of an acronym for, but he could say. No, I definitely felt underprepared for, all of the stuff. I wish I had more on the ballness, or I've just had more insight to some of those things, because some of it I just know by proxy. I don't know if I'm necessarily the industrial listener who could extract the most of it, but I think in terms of just talking music and in the larger alternative sort of sense, it was fun. But I'm sure there's insane interviews with him, because the stories just go and go and go, and now he has the museum,
that's amazing,
post-punk industrial museum in Chicago, and it's wild. So many cool stories.
I mean, I loved how he talked about with the museum. And I guess this is kind of like starting a band too, is like the best bands are always started out of necessity, not because someone had some grand idea that they were going to, push for. Obviously I'm sure that has happened and someone has been successful doing that. But most of the time it seems like this is a necessity for like kids to get in a room. Like, I just need to play music, or I'm finding these people. This is what I want to do. And then it evolves into this other, bigger, more important thing. And I think that him talking about the museum was so much that way, where it just started as his collection of stuff. And he's like, I guess this stuff is interesting and people keep asking me about it, so I'm going to make a thing to put all my stuff in. Mm-hmm. And then as people start giving more stuff and they keep getting all these things, then they're like, oh wait, this is like an actual big important place that is like past him, like past his stuff, but his stuff was against like the kind of catalyst for people to go, oh, I have this old Nine Inch Nails demo tape also, or I have this Killing Joke thing, or whatever. So cool.
Yeah, no, it's amazing, and it's those kind of things you just go, well, it's got to go somewhere. And then once you make a place for it, then people are like, oh, cool, here's the place where I can put all my stuff. Then you got that stuff, let's take this stuff over here. And then it's on display and it becomes a resource rather than just a collector's piece of things. I'm sure this is probably the history of art museums we're describing, but to see it kind of happen organically within our own lifetime of in regards to like music. I know there's the punk rock museum in Las Vegas that Fat Mike from NoFX, I think set up. But it seems to be, again, another resource for things and places, and I think they do good work for helping out aging punkers and things. They try to make it a positive impact within the community. And they have things where, have you seen this, where like people will lead a tour? You can buy tickets for a tour led by a notable punk person, and they'll come in for the weekend and then just lead tours all weekend. Around the collection. Oh yeah, it's cool.
I mean, it totally makes sense.
And there's
everybody.
Like a jam space too, where like I think I don't know whose equipment's on display, but you can like sign up for time you can play on all this old cool punk equipment too. Sorry, what were you gonna say?
No, I was just gonna say that it is weird that we're getting to the age where this is like when history. We were in high school and someone was talking about like the 60s.
Oh, right. Yeah, exactly.
And like, well, yeah, there's
like
a Jimi Hendrix
years
museum.
Ago.
And then someone would go, that's so crazy. There's a Jimi Hendrix museum.
Well, have you ever been
because he was just a guy,
whatever. Sure. But the influence is huge.
Yeah.
Have you been to have you been to the Rock and Roll Museum in Cleveland? It's kind of the home of like the Rock
I've
and
driven
Roll Hall of Fame.
Past it.
Oh, yeah.
No, I never went in.
We went on one of those early tours. We'd heard that if you were a touring band, you gave them a CD at the front desk, you could get in for free. And again,
was that true?
Free. Yeah, it was. So anything free is cool. You're like, all right, yeah, something to do with it. We must have had a day off or had time to kill in Cleveland. And yeah, we gave him a CD and they're like, cool. All right, welcome. And I got to say, as a young band, we were all in our early 20s and just walking around that place. And some of it, stands out more than others, but there was definitely some cool things. I mean, again, it's like even like the stage worn costumes by like Mick Jagger. And you realize, oh, he is tiny. He can't be more than like 5'5", because those little jumpsuits and things were like so small. And just seeing things on that, human of a level was really cool. And then seeing, some choice instruments and things, you go, wow, that's the bass that Paul Simonon, broke on the cover of London Calling, and here it is in pieces here, like, wow. And it's all set up in a nice glass case with lights and a plaque and everything. Like, that's crazy.
That's awesome.
The one that stood out for me was the Johnny Thunders TV yellow Les Paul Jr. I'd seen that in photos and stuff, and just I think really at that point too, I think I was really, my mind was going crazy around Johnny Thunders. And there was a moment there, and I don't know if it was exhaustion or just being hungover or just, being out of our minds and being broke and being on tour and just running off of ambition and, stolen food or whatever it was. But it just it made me, there was a holy grail moment when I saw that guitar, and he had a cool, like a Virgin Mary, like sticker on the pick guard underneath. It's got one pick or one pickup. And you're just like, this is like so simple. But again, it's like Johnny Thunders is so simple. It's the roots, are kind of the progression of Chuck Berry into, punk rock, into the Ramones, it's this kind of like instrument of I don't know, of revolution, of musical sort of like evolution, and seeing this one guitar, and it's like, that's so cool. And it definitely is like was a zeitgeisty kind of moment for me. I was like, this is what it's all about. This is something to shoot for
awesome.
As a guitar player, as a punk person. And I don't know, that just left such an impression on me. I was like, wow, okay, this is cool. And it is worth having those things on display rather than just sitting in someone's, studio or something, if you're able to, or better than a Hard Rock Cafe where they're like hung up over a table and you're eating chicken fingers. Like, hey, look over there. That's a Les Paul signed by Slash. Like, all right.
It's got ketchup on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's very important. I think that past is what keeps everything else alive, or it gets people to start.
Inspiring future generations. You know what I mean? Like you see
sure.
so much of that on social media stuff, or I follow a couple of different Nirvana things. There's one guy that's just like the guitars of Nirvana, and he like goes through and researches them and does all this different stuff. And you're like, they're totems. You know what I mean? There's a fetishistic kind of way of looking at it that could, I suppose, verge on the air of like, just fucking play. Don't get so wrapped up in the materialness of it. But there's the other side of it too. There's like, this is just inspiring. Like, okay, they're just like, because at the end of the day, anybody who's made history in these kind of ways in these art forms really are just people, as much as you can be called geniuses. But you realize like it's a fucking paintbrush. It's a canvas and paint. It's a camera. It's a guitar. Like those are things that anybody could have, and it wasn't the guitar. That's part of it. I think it demystifies it and deifies it in some ways too. You're like, oh well, it's just a guitar. Like anybody with a guitar could do what these people did, but you have to, that therein lies, you realize it's, that's, I don't know. I guess I see it of two minds of it kind of thing. You realize like, whoa, that guitar looks so cool. It's like so beat up and it's lived life, you can kind of get into that, but you realize like, cool, but it's also just a guitar. There's nothing magical in that guitar. It's the person that did it. It's the fingers, it's the hands, the heart, and the brain of it all too.
Well, and I think that's what's cool about all of those things. I mean, it no matter who played it or whatever it was in the room when that thing happened.
Mm-hmm.
It was like when I've been into a couple, recording studios to shoot stuff and like shoot advertisements and shoot bands and things, and like you'll go into like the Sunset Sound and then not even really know, like the first time I went in what's the one in Hollywood, the Beach Boys studio, Brian,
Capitol Records.
No, it's not Capitol
Ocean Way.
Records.
Ocean Way was the big one where they did Pet Sounds. But
okay, then that's what it was.
Okay, yeah.
And it was like, hey, that's Johnny Cash's piano. Like, what? Like, we've been shooting all day and like kind of moving it around and like figuring out where this guy's going to sit for these photos. And I was like, yeah, this is Johnny Cash's piano. It was like, and they kind of told a story of, like, yeah, he was recording something and, and I was like, wait, yeah, there's a photo of him with it on this album. It's right above it, whatever. And I'm like, that's like a real thing, like, and I think that those things do bring you, like, it makes it romantic at one point, but it also like grounds it for me. Like, you see a real thing and you're like, that's a real thing. Or, it's like when you meet someone famous or whatever and you're like, oh, it's a real person.
Yeah.
And it's like, it grounds you in this, like, oh, I'm talking to this guy who did this thing that I like. That's awesome. But it's like, it's grounding to be like, how the fuck did I get here?
Yeah.
It's like, but you're like, for some reason, you and that thing ended up in the same room together at whatever point, whether it's in a museum or whether you like met someone and you're at a recording studio, and you're like, oh my God, that's the thing that you played this thing and that. And like, I'm in the same, like I once sat in a room because I was shooting portraits of Slash. Funny you bring up Slash, but that in a studio. And while we were there, he was, he's like a big, I think I've told you this story before. He's a big guitar collector.
Oh yeah.
And at some point, like, a guy came in, cause we were at his studio, and a guy came in, he's like, oh, hold on a second. And he had to go look at this guitar. And I feel like, I mean, I'm going to completely make this up, but I feel like it was like a $250,000 guitar. It's like one of those, like, Lindsey Buckingham's guitar,
Sure.
one of those, the top of the end, the ones that get passed around from person to person and get bought by different
probably
people,
a
and
1959 Sunburst, Les Paul, something like that. Yeah, that's
totally
what those go for. Yeah.
And it was played for, whatever it was. And it was one of those things. And he's just looking at it, just like, oh man. Yeah. He's like playing it and kind of sitting there, it's like right in the middle of, but because they were shooting a video thing too. And I was just shooting some photos. And so, but he was, and it was like a real moment. You're like, this is a guy who absolutely loves guitars. He loves guitars and amps so much, he doesn't even use pedals.
Right.
Right? Like, he's like, I need a Les Paul and I need it to go into a Marshall, whatever it is. And I'm turning the knobs up here. That's my tone. That's how I play. That's the thing. Like, I don't use pedals. I don't use distortion. I don't, like, cause he's such a guitar, like, clean, like,
sure.
I have this is this. And he's sitting there looking at this guitar like it's going to save the world, and
for
maybe
that price,
it did for him, or for everybody else, it's like those things they're like, they save the world for people.
They're meaningful in that kind of way.
Yeah.
Well, they're also investments as well. You know what I mean? It's like buying a piece of art, and you go, okay, cool. Like for this thing at this price at this time, cool. In 10 years of following trends, you probably go here, and Andy gets to play it. And then there's a provenance to it. Now this famous owner has it, and that adds value to that thing as well. All those kind of things that happens with art pieces. When
it's a famous owner too.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. That's all that they call it the quote unquote provenance, with the importance of the piece by who owned it in the past.
Yeah.
I just looked up because I remember I didn't have the exact number at my fingertips, but I guess I had it at my fingertips, not my lips. But the the 1959 Sunburst Les Paul is sort of the holy grail of guitars, or for traditional sort of rock guitar things.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, how many were made? There were 643 approximately Les Paul Sunbursts made in 1959. So if you think about, of all the people in the world, and for those holy grail of guitars, less than 1,000 of them were actually made of that time.
Wow.
And then,
that's amazing.
And then the classic sort of years are between 58 and 60, 59 kind of be in the sweet spot. But again, these were all handmade instruments in a factory in Kalamazoo, Michigan. And, they're all sort of done. They're not all exact, but there's some characteristics, but from 58 to 60, that's sort of the real sweet spot of what we know as the double humbucker, stop bar, tailpiece Les Paul, the original run. there's approximately 1,700, so 1,712 Sunburst Les Pauls. So that's it. That's sort of the thing. And and Jimmy Page had one of those, and there's those sort of Eric Clapton had those, and Les Paul obviously had those. So there's Keith Richards. There's all these kind of people that are like, okay, the 59 Les Paul, or that between 58 and 60 Les Paul. But if you wanted to get one of those production models, I guess the price $250,000 goes. That's what they would go for.
And at the beginning, that was also like someone's grandpa had those, and someone's uncle had one of those, and
it's
the guy's like, "Oh, this looks cool. I'm a doctor. I'm gonna learn how to play guitar."
Yeah, I mean, if you're
59.
I follow Joe Bonamassa. He's a 59 guy, and all those kinds of things. But so because there's that little of them, and the ones that have been played all get names. And they all have names, and there's a serial numbers out there. There's databases where people follow them and track them around, and and then someone will pull it out up from underneath the bed, like, oh, I don't know, my grandpa, had this guitar, my great grandpa inherited this, and I got this from someone, and oh, okay, well, now this is what you have, and you date the pots, and you date, there's all these characteristics of those. I went down a Les Paul rabbit hole about 10 years ago. I didn't care about them for years and years and years, and then I kind of got bored, I guess, or had enough time when our oldest son was still a baby. I was like, I'm gonna figure this one out. What's the deal with the Les Paul? What's this all about? And so, those original ones are really funny. But the best part, this totally is illustrates the idea of this story perfectly about, like, are they great, or are they just tools? Is it the person, not the machine, kind of thing? The Les Paul that Slash got, that he recorded all the Appetite for Destruction on and wrote all those songs, that original Les Paul that he had, was a copy. It wasn't, he didn't have, because they were broke. Again, when Guns N' Roses started out, he couldn't afford, whatever they were going for in the 80s. I'm sure it wasn't $250,000 then, but maybe it was $1,000. But
it was a copy of a 59.
It was a copy, something like that. Yeah. It was kind of like the Honey.
It's like a reissue
thing. No, it wasn't. So it wasn't even by Gibson. It was by this independent luthier down in like Manhattan Beach, who was just making copies, the back of his guitar shop. And
I love it.
And that's what he recorded all of Appetite for Destruction on, all those solos, all those things. And it's since now become, again, deified, and this thing like, because that was the thing. Gibson went through so many different ownerships of the Norland era. There was all these different owners, and their quality control was kind of up and down. So the idea being this luthier, this handmade thing, was closer to like what a 59 would have been like, really made by hand with a high quality control, not a pancake body, like solid, pieces of wood and a carved maple top, all these things that makes those ones so great. I would imagine this luthier studied those and made the copy of those. It was probably at a higher quality than what even Gibson was making at the time, but they were cheaper because it didn't say Gibson at the top.
Right.
And so
that's amazing.
It's a good case for trust your ears. If
you're
trying to buy a guitar for yourself, like, trust your hands and your ears. If it sounds good and feels good, don't worry about what it's called. Same thing with like Prince. His number one guitar was a Hofner, Japanese, made in Japan Hofner Telecaster knockoff called
really?
Mad Cat. And it had this thing. Yeah. I mean, there's all these great cases for great musicians playing cheap guitars, and making them great, and doing whatever they want to do with them. And,
yeah, because wasn't there a big deal for a while with Japanese Fenders?
Mm-hmm.
Because there wasn't the copyright or something, and so then did they just have a Japanese?
There was like a licensing thing, and they were making higher quality, if not this. It's not the same or higher quality
for a couple of years,
like
right?
The 80s and 90s. Yeah. No, again, this is my I'm giving up all of my my guitar nerd Instagram things, but there's a Made in Japan guitar account that just has all these great Made in Japan stories and sort of the wheres and whys and what's it's, and they're really fun. And I just follow like weird cheap guitar pages and all these different things. It's just it's a wild thing, especially if you like getting into the weeds.
Well, I love that stuff. I love, because I'm not nerdy enough to stay involved, but I'm nerdy enough to just get a kernel of interest that gets me
just to get
enough, like a couple sentences that I can like pull out in a conversation or something. But or more just like when you read one of those things, I'll go down a rabbit hole for like a week.
Oh yeah.
And then
that's
after
good.
a week, I'm like, I can't go into the, like, it'd be like learning that vinyl comes in different colors, and then you learn, and then you're like, oh, this, it comes in this color. Maybe you learn about some different pressing plants, and then all of a sudden you get into the like, well, but this band had 14 different 7-inches that all had this, and that's where you lose me. I'm like, I don't know, that's too much information. I like the cloud of interest. That is an interesting thing to get you into it. And then when it gets to the like, well, I'm like, nope, no, because I won't be able to remember any of that stuff. And then I'll try to say that I learned about colored vinyl at the wrong party, and then someone will go,
did you know?
What do you mean? Wait, how much did you learn? It's like like talking about skate spots.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, no. I do not care about skate spots. And it's only because I cannot remember any information. I can't remember any details. So I would love to, but I'll never be able to tell you who did like the first kickflip down what stairs.
No, you don't need to know.
What school. Yeah. We don't need to know.
Yeah.
Some people.
Oh, of course. No, that's what I'm saying.
Their life,
for us,
right?
Because you're not going to go get a trick, and you want to make sure you didn't. You don't the first. How do you iterate on a spot?
Yeah. I learned very quickly that those are not the interests in my life.
Yeah.
I just love watching people skate.
Oh yeah, no, I remember when we did some of those skate trips with the goat and some of those America Altamont skate trip things, and everybody knew, they could just call things out. And I was like, that was never, that wasn't part of the culture that I had. Like I'd watch a skate video and then go skate my crappy curb, or go skate at the school and just be stoked on it. I wouldn't memorize who the skaters were. Maybe I'd remember, that was Jamie Thomas, or that was, Ed Templeton, or these, I had a couple of people I noticed, but then again, just the whole video just got me pumped to go skate, and then I would forget everything. I didn't have the meticulous sort of like brain for it. But this is also a good way, bring it back to Martin Atkins, where I think I opened the podcast with that quote of him with Steve Albini was stealing was taking all of his drumsticks. This is a perfect way of going like, oh wow. Yes. And he's like, oh, Steve must be a big fan. He's always collecting my drumsticks. And then he goes to the barbecue and he realizes he has piles of his drumsticks so he can use in the smoker because they're made out of
cedar
or hickory. I thought,
maybe hickory. Yeah. Could have been hickory. Yeah.
And so they were good for the barbecue. Good. Like, no,
amazing.
But again,
I love that.
Yeah, what a great Steve Albini story. I feel like this podcast is slowly collecting funny Steve Albini anecdotes.
Well, the more you start talking to Chicagoans,
the more
I'm sure out. All of that.
Everyone has a good Steve Albini story.
Yeah. I love his again, like when he was talking, I just love the little things of him going like, we're starting this band. We talked to Steve, we recorded the demo at his house. He ended up playing a little bit of guitar on this song, and so came by, and like, I just love that because that was before all of those bands. I mean, when was that? Early 90s? Late 80s?
Maybe. Yeah. With Pigface stuff? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. Well, and they were talking about Big Black and then everything kind of changing after that. And then I love thinking about all of those guys in the 20s and then in their 20s, and maybe he is the older guy, so he was in his 30s maybe.
But Big Black is
just
pretty much an industrial band or proto-industrial band, with like the real sharp metal sounding guitars, scraping kind of guitar sounds, and then the drum machine, the kind of pummeling, relentless drum machine, kind of pushed into the red onto tape. It's I'm sure. And again, this is where I fall out of my depth of like industrial music. But if you put it in that frame, you're like, oh yeah, totally. I could see how this is an industrial thing, or could be categorized under that, or even the early Jesus Lizard. They would start with the drum machine.
Did they really?
Yeah, that first EP was at Head and Puss. It was reissued as a CD, thing. But yeah, those first couple recordings that they'd done with Steve Albini had a drum machine.
Wow.
Mac joined. Yeah.
I learned too much every Sunday, Randy. Now my brain is getting too full. I got to get. There's important things that are leaving, I'm sure.
Every new thing you learn pushes an old thing out.
Names and phone numbers and addresses, they're gone. All of it.
Yeah. Well, speaking of pushing out information, my family, or I should say my wife and I and our oldest son are trying to watch all the new Stranger Things. So we have one episode left, and I know this is pertinent. I don't know if everybody else has been watching the Stranger Things, but we're going to probably cut it a little bit shorter just because I got to run inside and do that. But I don't want to end this without saying a dear friend passed this week, Rich Jacobs. And
yes.
I mean, I feel like there should be a bigger episode about Rich. And I really obviously wish I would have interviewed him, but he'd been sick for quite a while. Did you know Rich at all?
I didn't know Rich. Okay. I feel like we had been in the room
friends of friends. He was friends with everybody.
Definitely friends of friends. And I feel like even at the gallery, I'm sure we crossed paths from here to there. Yeah. But I knew his art. I mean, obviously knew his artwork and knew his, like, how powerfully important he was in art and skateboarding and just kind of everything, getting artists together. And
yeah, really such an incredible creative force. And we met him through our friend Sam Veld, who put out the first Wives record. He was good friends with Rich. And then the first show that No Age played was at Rich's art show at New Image Gallery. It was the kind of thing, really? Like, you know, we'd met him through Sam when we had the band Wives. And I think we might have played something, or we were friends, you know, something to do. And then Rich and Tim Kerr from the Big Boys, they were good friends. Mm-hmm. They had a show they did together, and they wanted to borrow some guitars and amps so that they could play together. And so that was really fun. I remember driving over to that, whatever gallery that was down on 3rd Street, and dropping off amps and things, and they played. And it was like, oh, this is so cool. We were fans of the Big Boys also. And that's first meeting Tim Kerr. And Rich was just always so open and so, like, disarmingly, like, humble about all of his art and everything he did. And we stayed friends, and we played an early No Age show in New York. When he moved to New York, we'd been talking with him, and he's like, oh, you should play on my rooftop. We have, like, parties on the roof in Brooklyn. And so, that was one of our early shows, and it was great. It was one of those things too, where, like, passing, you know, say suggested $5 donation at the door, we made more money than we would have made at a club, because some people give $5, some people give nothing, some people give a 20, you know. So it ended up being one of those kind of things, like, oh, this is great. Like, that was a really fun show. But again, it was just his sort of generosity of spirit and resources, and just folding people into the group and making it more about others and about himself. And we kept in touch, and it's one of those things, you know, just over the years, you know, anytime Rich would reach out, it was just always like, oh, of course, anything, you know, I couldn't say no to him. Yeah. He was always involved in so many cool things, and if Rich was into it, you knew it was legit.
Yeah.
So, but I know he'd been sick for a while, and you know, we'd reached out and talked, but it was his time. It was it. But yeah, so many incredible Instagram tributes to him that I saw this week. You know, just everyone sharing stories, and I got tagged in a photo. He was part of the reason I got brought into this mural program that we do every year for public schools here in Southern California. Mm-hmm. These artists from all over the world paint murals. And then there's always like an art, or there's like a music show for the kids too. And I think Rich had probably threw my name out there, and that's why I was invited in to do it. And now over the years, I've been lucky enough to get to participate in that every year, you know. And I don't know, it's one of many little things just where our paths crossed. But it was always kind of thing, I've always felt like he's friends of friends. Like, we're friends, but I know there's, you know, so many people that know him for so much longer. And he was quiet, and you know, we would talk, but it wasn't like, we didn't have the hours and hours of growing out. I'm sure so many of his other friends did, who knew him for longer and when he was younger. So I always get kind of self-conscious too about, like, oh, I don't want to take up the public space, but I do want to, you know, here on the thing, you know, just to say, like, he'll be missed. He was a huge, cool, creative presence, and was definitely crucial to so much of the early No Age experience, which is what we did as a band. You know, literally our first show was at his art show. And that sort of helped set the tone. It was a high bar to play for playing shows. Like, oh, this is cool. This was fun, you know. playing at New Image for his art show. And now almost 20 years ago. That's probably 2006. So coming up on 20 years.
God, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy as we get into these ages. Again, like we're saying, the ages of museums started for stuff that happened in our lifetime, but also you realize the reason you have those things is because people aren't here forever. They do need to be celebrated and do need to have wings of museums, dedicated to all of their stuff. It does need to be maintained and preserved and passed down to next generations. So,
yeah. Well, and that is the great thing about these Instagram and all of those things, because all of this stuff popped up and videos, and I feel like I'd learned so much about him. Like even what you were just saying, basically everything I saw was him saying, well, my whole plan was to always just include my friends. So if I got brought onto anything, I was like, great, here are the friends I want to be involved, or here's who I want to include, or because it's no fun if you're doing it alone.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, I think it was such a huge influence and such a big, just print on what it is, that thumbprint just kind of stamped on me as a young kid, kind of learning how to do stuff. And you're like, right, it is more fun with friends. We should always do this together. If you have an opportunity to do something, don't always make it about yourself, make it about the group. And cause you get so much more out of it yourself, bringing your friends up and bringing your things up. And I think that's what something, it felt like those sort of like career defining, sort of, it's in your DNA lessons. Like, oh yeah, well, why do you do this? Like, because that's how it was done for us. You know what I mean? It's not like we didn't hatch out of an egg in a vacuum. Like we existed in a community and still exist in a community that was supported by friends, and that's how we came here. So why would I suddenly, have the spotlight put on me and close the door behind me? Like, nope, it's just us. We're all here by ourselves. So, I think I've talked here in the past too. There was so much about like, yes, here's, if there's any spotlight, let's make sure it's refracted on everybody who's in our scene and who is in our friends group. And it's like, this is who we are. We have an opportunity to show all the fun stuff, because it just felt more honest that way too. Because again, it's like, well, we're not, I don't know, the attention might be on you, but it's really not about you. If you really look at it, it really is, it's your opportunity to give back and to just really like be honest. I think that's how I was feeling. I was like, honestly, there's better bands than us. It's cool. We got lucky. I think if I had to be really honest about it, not even just fake humble, it's like, no, for real. Like we worked really hard and we got your attention now. Great. However, don't stop there. There's all these other great people. Bring them all with you. And then, and see what happens. But yeah, that definitely was something that Rich just made seem so effortless. He just did it like it wasn't a big deal. It wasn't like, all right, kid, pulling you up to the big time. It was just like, yeah, you want to be part of this? And it was just like, cool.
Yeah.
And then you've got to pass it on. That's part of that whole thing too. It's like, you can't get those opportunities and keep them all to yourself. So you'll be missed, Rich. You've made a huge impact, probably far beyond what you were even able to ever know. There's the reverb or the echoes of all of his great work and just who he was as a person and as an artist will go through generations. And it's cool. I hope that's what he wanted, because that's what's out there. He left a huge mark in a lot of people's lives. So I want to give a shout out to Rich. All right, everybody, go finish watching Stranger Things with your family. Don't make sure your kids don't have nightmares.
Or if they do, revel in it.
Yeah.
They'll only want to come hang out and sleep in your bed for a little while longer until you're like, wait, why aren't my kids anywhere around me?
Yeah, why are they scared?
They don't need me for support anymore.
They're not scared of Vecna. Oh my gosh, he talks all through the episodes.
Now I need support.
This is the thing though. He does talk through the episodes.
Oh my god.
Like, okay, well, what about like Justin did this and then Vecna's here and then Elle, and we're like, oh, but it's great. It's really fun.
We're not trying to solve the mystery.
Yeah, no, he's right. We have to pause it sometimes, but I'm also just as bad. I'm a chatty Cathy here, because I'll pause it and be like, oh, do you see that? That's a reference to like the Steven Spielberg movie. That's a reference to the John Carpenter movie. That line right there, we just watched it. It was something like, it was a reference to Die Hard. It's like, you can't shoot me. You're a policeman. I think that was from the other season, from season 4. So we did we've spent the last like 2 or 3 weeks like catching Ryder up on all the Stranger Things because he was interested and wanted to know. So like, okay, so we've done a crash course. We watched all 4 seasons just to get up to this week. We watched season 5. But I didn't even talk. We did the big Ciclovia thing down on Melrose where we like there's a big
I saw that. I saw the
crazy.
photos.
It was so crazy. Yeah. So much fun.
That was with Ciclovia?
Yeah. Yeah. They closed down Melrose from Vermont to Fairfax and had all these activations and all these things. And it's fun, having a 12-year-old be excited about this stuff and like it reinvigorate our excitement for it. And then the 6-year-old is just kind of like, wait, when can I watch it? We're like, never, not now. Like, could you pick a scene we could watch? Like, no, maybe the one where it won't make any sense. Yeah. The ones where they're riding their bikes for like 2 minutes. And then we have to stop it before he gets attacked by the interdimensional. Yeah,
but
demon.
even then, that's like that's still too spooky. Really written for adults.
Yes,
that watched ET.
Nostalgic, exactly. Yeah. It's the whole other thing. Awesome. All right, everybody, be well. Rate and review us on whatever you listen to us to, right? And tell your friends.
5 stars. 5 stars.
Oh yeah, 5 stars only. And you can write us hyphenatehalftime@gmail.com. And send us what you're into, what you're listening to, what you're doing for the holidays, and any good tofu recipes.
And your industrial band.
And want to hear. Well. Yes, absolutely. Please.